Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today's guest is Fata. He's an entrepreneur, investor, author, and mentor building a portfolio of world-class companies. He's a single dad of 2 kids joining us from Winnipeg, Canada. Welcome, Mike. It is a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So please share with us, how did you become a single parent?
Well, I grew up with a single mom, and so I think I was very familiar with single parenting just because my mom raised me from when I was 2, my brother and I. And how I became a single parent after 15 years of being in a partnership, we decided it was best to separate and focus on our kids, which started as a co-parenting situation role, and but then I have both my kids full time. So over the last year, but there was a lot of business and family growing up in the middle of that. So that's just more of the recent situation.
Right. Thank you. Well, please tell us more about your story. Who you are? How did you?
Yeah. So I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and grew up with a single mom, and we were pretty poor. And I was also a nerdy, overweight kid, so I didn't really have a lot of friends. Didn't really enjoy school too much because I was bullied in school, and so I wanted to leave school when I was young. I dropped out of high school to start working, and had the support of my mom to do that. She was a great single parent, supporting her kids of what they wanted to do. And after a couple of years working construction and odd jobs, I found my passion for health and got into the hemp food business. And we just created a tremendous amount of success by pioneering hemp hearts and other hemp food products and bringing them to market. We started the business back in 1998, but over 20 years grew it to a $100 million business. And then we sold it about 4 years ago. And that's right when we sold the business was the time that my ex and I decided that it was time to separate. And unfortunately, my mom died unexpectedly all at the same time. So I had a lot of life changes, and I had to decide what I was going to do next in life, and which brought me to my current situation, which is more being an investor, an advisor, a mentor, helping other entrepreneurs grow their businesses. At the same time, being a single parent and being a parent that homeschools my two children, and I'm a big believer in travel and experiencing the world, and so we also work from anywhere or homeschool from anywhere.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. What were some of the challenges you faced, or everything was smooth on your road of single parenting?
No, I mean, time management is probably the biggest thing. We all have a lot of responsibilities, working and providing for the family, at the same time balancing the home life, and it's intensified with homeschooling. And we were homeschooling before the pandemic, so just that routine every day. Not every day is smooth, for sure. Lots of challenges, and but overcoming them with, I think, a plan. A big believer in a plan, and that's what business taught me a lot. Growing a business is you need a solid plan to grow your business. Same thing to grow a great family. You need a family plan. How you're going to learn, how you're going to get educated, how you're going to celebrate together and bond together. We've even written family mission and values just to bring us together closer, and learned a lot of those principles from my mom growing up. So again, growing up with a single parent and a great single parent, and some of our family values and traditions of always having dinner together and having this open communication at the dinner table. Some of that served me really well as I found myself in a single parent situation.
Impressive, yeah. Please share some of the great habits that you've experienced growing up in a single parent household. I know you mentioned sitting together at the table and have an open line of communication.
I think it's a big one. I've learned that now through um, studying kind of best in class parenting, that family dinners are integral. It's the glue that really holds strong families together. There's a number of reasons. There's a number of things that happen when you don't share those moments together. It leads to a lot of issues and connectivity in the family, but also eating disorders and other things that can happen for kids when they don't have this normal routine. So I'm a big believer, and we just have family dinner every day and put a little structure to that, right? Especially on the weekends, of talking about our week and talking about what we learned and some of the challenges, and just being open to really listen to my kids there and understand what's going on with them, and so I can help to guide them or mentor them. I've also touched on it, but I've read a lot of the Ayers family materials, and just love those books. They have, I think, like over a dozen books on parenting. They have 9 kids, and just put a good structure to how do you raise a great family. And some of the things, again, but like having a clear mission statement that aligns everybody, being very clear on your core values, and whether you make a poster or you print that on the wall or you make T-shirts, to be able to bring that together so that there's unity between the parent and the kids, I think is key. Teaching. I've always been in business, and it's the same. I'm an open book kind of entrepreneur and manager. I'm the same with my kids, and I learned that from my mom. Like, learning simple things, but like how the family budget works. When I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money, and so my mom was just very clear, like how much money she made and how much our rent cost and the bills, and how much that meant that we had left over for food and for clothes, which wasn't that much. But I think that openness and that transparency really helped serve me well to have a good understanding of how life really works. I see it too often that kids don't really understand the value of money, and because it's never been shared with them in that way. So I've taken that practice to my kids, and we talk openly about money and the importance and values of, like, how hard it is to earn money, and then when you earn it, you need to spend some to live and have a proper budget, but you also have to save some for the future, and then also the charitable or the giving part of it, and so some of those practices just bring to everyday life, tie it into doing chores and doing their work that they need to do to get paid at the end of the week, and then what do they do with that paycheck? Spend some that they want, save some, and then what charitable cause that they want to support, even if it's donating $1 to plant a couple trees.
Awesome. And at what age did you introduce the chores and the paying for the chores?
Oh, early, but I think that it really started to stick at probably 8 or 9 years old, where just trying to be really simple. And again, the Ayers family had some structure in some of their books, so I've read this. Didn't by any means develop any of this, but I found it to be best practicing for parenting, and so like four different tasks, right, that they have to do. Keep your room clean is one of them all the time for them. And then one area of the house is theirs, and sometimes they share that with kitchen duties. And so keeping that well maintained. Their personal hygiene, and that means being like brushing their teeth and flossing their teeth and showering and going to bed without too much hassle, right? And then being kind to one another, especially with siblings. It's really important of how they treat their siblings. I find is how they're going to treat other people in the world. And so do those 4 things well every day. And at the end of the day, it's at the end of the week, it's payday. And I learned some of that. My mom, because she was a working single mom, needed my brother and I to support just to make the household work. And so we never had a allowance that was gifted to us. We had a list of chores on the fridge, and each one of them had a price tag to them. And If we vacuumed the whole house, it was like 75 cents. If we did the laundry, it was maybe $1. And I think again that just understanding the value of what it costs to work and tying that to your making discipline out of it is a great way to prepare your kids for when they're going to be so-called adult and often in their own in the world. They're going to face some of those very same challenges.
You're right. But what about the flip side of the coin? When they grow up, who's going to pay them then to do laundry and to do the dishes?
Yeah, well, and hopefully some of those the values pass on, but it's yeah, to be we talk about it already. Like my son's 13, but he's already envisioning the day not too many years from now that he's going to have a car and want to be driving around, right? And so what are you going to work? I had my first job when I was 14 and I worked construction. I bought my first car and had to pay for the insurance and pay for the gas. And I think all those things early on in life, learning those values set me up very successfully to be the business person, the entrepreneur that I am, and create that success.
Awesome. And how do you help people now?
I've always been a big believer in giving back. Over my 25 years as an entrepreneur, it's been a big part of my success. So volunteer, I've done a lot of volunteering, helping nonprofit organizations over those years. But I've always, I watched it from my mom. My mom was, even though being a single mom, she always wanted to try to help people, even though she didn't have a lot of resources, but she had some time and maybe she was going to give them some of her information that she learned or shared. And so I've just taken the time and given time to people. And I guess, formally that would be, more mentorship. Mentorship comes in a lot of different forms, but, I spend a lot of time one-on-one with entrepreneurs that are growing their business and listening to where they're at in their business and helping them with clarity on what the next stage of growth may look like, and some of what I would offer, what I would do if I was in their situation, because I've grown successful business over and over again. And so that one-on-one time that has transitioned over the last couple of years, because the requests for my time have been more than time that I have on one-on-one. And so I kind of thought about what I could do from a mass mentorship, help a lot of people through my learnings, some of the things that I share. And that's come now in a form of a newsletter, the Unstoppable Entrepreneur newsletter, my podcast, which is Founder to Mentor. I just wrote a book called Grow, 12 Unconventional Lessons for Becoming an Unstoppable Entrepreneur. So some of now I can share, one to many. And I also hold like kind of live Q&A sessions that I like to do on LinkedIn, on social media. So I can have a group of entrepreneurs or a group of people that can ask questions and everyone can learn kind of in a group format. Just find that it's a much better use of my time to help as many people as possible.
You're right, and I love it. Congratulations on your book. If you had to summarize it in one sentence, what is the main ingredient? I know it's 12 different things, but
I think summarizing it is 12 lessons, but the second part of that, like, it's unconventional lessons for becoming an unstoppable entrepreneur. And you could take entrepreneur out of that, because I think the book's written because I am an entrepreneur, but everyone has an entrepreneur in them, whether you have your own business or you're working for someone else. The lessons are on like really, the unconventional way, because hey, not all of us come from nuclear families or have rich parents or go to an Ivy League school. But I believe we all have it in us to understand and be mindful of what we're passionate about, and then do the work, or start the business or do the work in the area that of something that you really enjoy. Don't go and think about, for the long term, just any job. Find what you really want to be doing, and align your work with that passion. And from there, be the best you that you can be, and be a really kind person and build community by helping others. That's the kind of summation of the lessons in the book. But again, there's many people talk about kind of the conventional way. When I was growing up, hey, you grow up, you go to school, you go to university, you get into a career, and then you lock in for 30, 40 years and get a family and call it a great life, but we know that now, especially nowadays, people just don't live like that. More and more people are living the unconventional path. And I wanted to provide my unconventional lessons that I learned, so to help other people.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I grew up with the same kind of thing that, you have this life and this is what success looks like. But I believe success for every person is different. What may be successful for me is totally different for you. And it's not to say one is good or bad, it's just your way of living.
Yeah. So I coined that, and I promote finding and making your best day ever. And so there's some tools and examples and lessons in the book about you're finding your best day ever. And you're right, my best day ever is going to look a lot different than your best day ever or some of your listeners' best day ever. But the actual practice of scoping and visioning what is your best day ever, and then working towards that's what's going to create a good life for yourself. And too many people aren't clear on that, and they kind of just go mindlessly through life, or especially if a major transition happens, like there's a you're laid off of your job, or someone close to you dies. Some of these major transitions in life can really throw you off, even if you're in a good space. And so taking that time to really sculpt and scope what you want your life to look like, so you can work towards it and create that best day ever for yourself is really critical.
Yeah. What is the smallest thing you've done that had the biggest impact in your life so far?
Focusing on what I put in my mouth. I'm a big believer in diet. We essentially are what we eat. And the more that I've focused over the years on my health, but from a diet standpoint, understanding, what foods really gave me energy, helped me be in my best shape, and that's had the biggest impact. And I think, and you say, small. It is small because we can kind of control what we put in our mouth. I'm not saying that's easy, but it is a small thing that has a huge impact.
Yeah. And what happened for you to start, realizing that you said you were overweight?
I hit rock bottom at 18 years old. I weighed 300 pounds. And really it was from too many years of fast food, hamburger day, hot dog day, McDonald's, and all the fast food restaurants. And I found myself 300 pounds and being sick and tired all the time, being depressed and physically not feeling good, mentally not feeling clear. And I felt like I was an emotional roller coaster, and I was spiritually dull. And so I had to do something about it, and it started with small steps, really diet and focusing on what I was eating. Took out all the processed foods and fast foods out of my diet and went more to a natural food diet. Clean eating, whole food, simple ingredients, like our grandparents or our ancestors would have ate, and then exercise and moving my body, and then cleansing and healing myself through a number of therapies to heal some of the traumas from my growing up in my past. And that's totally transformed me into a different person. And I know that is possible for everybody. Everyone has the ability to change their self physically, and if you get your physical health in great shape, you're more primed to have strong mental health and heal some of those traumas. We all have some kind of trauma that we've experienced in the past.
Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, during our formative years is when the traumas occur between 0 and 7, and then we live them out throughout our life. Unless we look at our life and ask ourselves, where are we going? Just like you did in your case of being overweight and realizing you can no longer live like that because it's not leading anywhere.
Yeah, we have one life. Why don't you want to have the best life? Live the best day ever every day. We have one life. So people just get trapped to think that they can't change it. But I'm here to be an example, positive example that you can change every aspect of your life. And then again, wanted to share those lessons out with people, so to give them actionable tips and motivation and inspiration to be able to do it.
Yeah. Did you have a hero growing up?
My brother was one of my heroes, and really mentor to me. He was 4 years older, and we were really tight when we were young, and then there was a couple of years when I was going through all my craziness as a teenager. He was, we weren't hanging out that much. But then when I had the aha moment at kind of 18 that I wanted to change my change my lifestyle, and he was there to support me. He was already down his kind of healthier path, and so I've looked up to him in a number of different ways. And then I've had a number of mentors. And call it, say, hero. For me, hero is like a mentor that I look up to and try to instill some of their best practices that they've taught me. And I've had several that have helped me in business over the years too.
What was the best practice or the best trait that you wanted to emulate from your brother?
Discipline, I think. Discipline to work for what you want. I think I got into because I was physically unfit and really mentally unwell, that I was lazy. I got into a lazy space, which for people that know me nowadays say lazy, and it doesn't look like you're lazy. You're doing a lot of things and very disciplined, but that discipline came from somewhere, and it was from his healthy example and some support as well that allowed me to find that engine in me that said, okay, I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to be disciplined. Even if I don't want to work out today, I'm going to work out. If I don't want to eat healthy today, I'm still going to eat healthy. And he was a really great example of that.
I love it. Like, don't rely on how you feel. Just go and do it. Which
yeah, that's why I've been doing ice baths. Okay, and maybe some of your listeners here, they're like ice baths over the last 2 years. Which is a very low cost way, because we all have cold water in our house, a cold shower, cold bath, but has tremendous therapeutic effects on the body. But it also it has therapeutic effects on the mind, because you never want to get into a cold shower or an ice bath. No one wants to do that. Even after doing it for 2 years, I routinely going like, oh yeah, I really am going to enjoy all aspects of it. I do enjoy the benefits of it, and the way that it makes me physically feel and even mentally feel. And now there's all this great science on the true benefits of ice baths or cold exposure.
So what are some of the benefits of cold baths? You mentioned that, you never want to do it going in, but you know how powerful it is and how amazing you're going to feel afterwards.
Yeah, and it has all this physical benefit, and there's plenty now on the internet of how cold exposure can really help bring the inflammation down in the body, which for people that suffer with arthritis and different conditions, which I felt, and as I get older in my late 40s, feeling some of the aches and pains in the body, it brings that down. But the mental benefit I found to know, I don't want to go into a cold bath. I didn't want to go into a cold shower either. It's uncomfortable. But when you do things that are uncomfortable, you train the mind to just do it. So I found, like, now if I get up any day and I don't want to work out today because my mind's saying, no, you're sore. Here's don't work out. It's kind of like the cold bath mentality. I say, just jump in and start doing it. And we all know it feels great afterwards. Like with the days you don't want to work out, those are probably the days that you need to work out the most. And if you push yourself to go to the gym or to do the exercises afterwards, you're like, I'm so glad I just started to do it. And so, kind of tricking the mind into just getting going and accomplish whatever task is in front of you, even if you want to do it or not. That discipline building, I found that cold baths are good for that.
Yes, I love that. I gotta get back. I used to do cold showers. I stopped. I gotta get back into that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great one.
What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
To believe in themselves. I think confidence carries us so far in life, and a lot of kids can not have their internal confidence because there's a lot of different factors in it. You have to be proud of who you are. You have to be authentically yourself. Everyone has their own superpowers. I think kids need to learn what their superpower is. Just because you're nerdy because you like math. I mean, that's probably your superpower, but you could see some kids want to shy away from that because they want to be athletic, and maybe and they're not that naturally. I think you have to embrace who you are naturally, and then you could build on that skill. So knowing that they can be themselves and have that confidence, and we do that by being a great example. I see it too often that parents will tell their kids, you could be anything you want. You can accomplish anything you want in life. And then the kid's like, well, why aren't you accomplishing anything and everything you want in life, mom or dad? Because kids do what they see, not what they're told. So you want to show your kid that your children that they can accomplish anything in life, accomplish all the things that you want to do, and then they're going to witness that, and then you could be really supportive to show them that they can accomplish anything that they want and have that confidence.
I totally agree with you. Yes, they never do what you say; they do what you do. So if they see you on the computer a lot, they're gonna think that this is what you're supposed to
Yeah,
do.
they do whatever you say. It's like it's the same thing as saying like yelling at your kids to tell them not to be loud and yell. Doesn't make any sense, right? And they're like, well, you're yelling at me to tell me not to yell or scream or be loud. You
Right.
got to be the example. You got to lead by example.
Yes. What would you say is your superpower if you had to pick one?
I have the ability to. It started out as when I was young, having a great imagination. What that's developed into is I have the ability to have a very strong vision for the future, even if that vision means, and I can break it down into 1,000 steps, 1,000 mini goals to get to that clear vision. That's my superpower. So when I'm leading a team, I could really show people the way where we're going and what everyone's part is to help us to be able to get there. And my mom helped me really see clearly that was one of my strengths. But it started as having just imagination. I was daydreaming all the time as a kid, and I thought that was some of my teachers thought that was a weakness, right? But no, I was just manifesting the future and getting the vision nice and clear in my head.
Yeah, good for you to keeping your imagination, because nowadays they did a study and they found that kids going into school, they have 90% of the imagination intact, and when they leave
Yeah.
school, it's 2%
Yeah.
left.
No, yeah, we're training it out of people, and I know I saw that NASA study that now they're trying to get people to be more creative again when they naturally have it, and yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm trying to do with homeschooling my kids is to really play into their passions. We're all different. What does their best day ever look like when they're going to be older, and train them to really get into their passions. My daughter's an artist, and she's very different than my son loves games and is a brainiac and wants to solve problems in games, and she wants to literally paint the world or create some form of art, and so that's the superpowers. You have to play into that. You got to feed that strength and keep them in that imaginative space. If they get drilled into school from a drill sergeant, more of the iron fist kind of approach, yeah, they're not going to naturally have that seeking out and feeling what they're truly passionate about and being able to embrace that.
Yes, I love that. How do you, what kind of, I call it, when you do the homeschooling, what's some of the things that you teach them other than what they teach in school, certain parts, but is there anything specific that you can recommend?
Yeah, I mean, we have curriculum, so for grade curriculum, because you can go buy all the textbooks and stuff off Amazon. So we have written textbooks and stuff. Also use a online learning course so they can have some of the technical instruction. This is not teacher led, but student led. Time for Learning is the program. It's a great program. But outside of the normal school curriculum, I'm a big believer in. We talked a little bit before, but like home economics, right? How to take care of the house, how to wash dishes, how to cook food, how to do their laundry. Like when I was young, that was some of the classes that I actually enjoyed in school, and how to bake, and all these things, because it's functional. So home economics is a big one. Also, being in nature and feeling comfortable in nature. I grew up and I was in Boy Scouts for a number of years, and just going out into the woods and feeling comfortable and knowing how to be comfortable in a boat and swimming well, and being able to start a fire and kind of tend to a camp like that. Those are all skills that I teach my kids, because I think that nature is super important. Obviously, we're all from nature, but nowadays when we're living so much time in technology, I think the only way to, I don't know if you could balance it, but the only way to combat it is kind of like one foot in technology and 1 foot in nature, like 1 foot literally in the sand or the soil or the grass. So we do a lot of hanging out and being comfortable outdoors, and some of those exercises and things to learn. And then travel. I'm grateful that I have the ability to travel for my work and bring the kids with me. And when we're traveling and learning from anywhere, then we can get involved in the culture and the different foods and the different ways of living in the different places that we visit. And I think that is there's no better education than that, because it really expands the mind.
I love that. It's more of an experiential education, that they get to sample. This is not how we all live. By visiting different countries, you get to see.
Yeah, it's real living. I'm not a big believer in the old school way of learning, of memorize things, even if you don't want to memorize them, put them on a test, and then okay, you pass that test, so you're good now. But then we know that if you weren't really interested in it, you're just going to forget it. So what is all this time of memorization, instead of like, getting into something that you really enjoy and then doing the exercises and the repetitions of it until you really have a true strength in something that you enjoy, whether that's soccer or you want to play the violin, or you want to be a professional chess player, or whatever it is that fires you up. You should be doing the exercises and repetitions to be better at that, not memorizing stuff that you're not really interested in.
Yeah. What kind of advice can you share with single parents?
Again, have a plan for your family. It's challenging enough to be a single parent, but if you take the time, the worst case scenario is not having a plan and just letting life take you for a ride. Because I'm a big believer in, the world's not happening to us, we're happening to the world. And to do that effectively, especially as a single parent with probably limited time, limited money, all the different resources, you got to have a plan. And it could be a simple plan, but that plan should incorporate kind of what the best day ever for your family looks like. What are you trying to strive for? Because we can't create that overnight. It takes some time. Sometimes it takes months or years to be able to get into these situations. And it could be simple things like, some of the things we talked about, but like, have a clear mission and values for your family. It could be part anchoring your plan. When are you going to meet and have open conversation? Is it the family dinner table? Does that work for your family given your schedule, or do you have to create a different time? How are you going to have fun together? Is it games night? Do you go out for a walk on a certain day of the week, or a bicycle ride? Like, how are you going to create these moments and write that down? Like, put that into a plan so that days don't go by and everyone's off watching their device or watching TV, disconnected from each other, because that just happens too easy if you don't have a plan, especially as a smaller family or a single family.
I love that. And I'm going to implement it myself. You bring such good points. Thank you.
It's all, this is all trained from being a successful entrepreneur and a servant-based leader. When I built our business and the businesses, the other companies I'm building, I see it as not the triangle, the upside down triangle. We need to empower our team members and give them understand what they want to do, and give them the tools to be successful with it. Same thing as being a parent, and being a parent over the last 13 years has made me a better servant leader, and being a servant leader in the workforce and in my business has made me a better parent. And so I take some of those practices and structures and bring them into the household.
I love it. What is your favorite self-care routine, or how do you have something that you do every day?
Yeah, I have my full health. If I have the full time, which my full wellness routine is probably 2.5 hours, and it starts with warming up and stretching, and then doing a full workout, which incorporates some weights and some cardio. Or I've been practiced with different things like hit high intensity training or some yoga, but the big physical activity part of it. And then I do sauna on a very regular basis, hot therapy, and then go into cold therapy, which is either a ice bath or a cold shower. And then at the end of all that, to take some time to meditate and really a mindful practice. So the full routine is a good 2.5 hours. I don't have the time every day to do that, so I'm not coming to say, oh, I'm perfect or whatever. But I schedule that time into my calendar as much as possible. I'm a big believer in kind of time blocking important things, whether it's my work, whether it's our family occasions, whether it's my personal growth time, because I realize if I don't do that, then it just doesn't get done. And if I don't have the full time, then I'll do some form of abbreviated version of that. But I'm doing wellness and self-care every day.
Awesome. Yes, I'm the same way. Sometimes we don't have all the time, so we do a mini workout or a mini thing.
Yeah.
To keep yourself, like we're not Energizer bunnies. We need to do those recharging activities on the day.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
No, but I think if anyone's interested in learning more about me or some of the things that we talked about, the best resources to going to my website, mikefata.ca, mikefata.ca, has the newsletter, the book, the podcast, the different resources that I offer. So, and then if you're on social media, you can connect with me, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter on the Mike Fata.
Awesome. We'll include everything in episode notes. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your wisdom, and congratulations again on your book.
Thank you. And thanks again for having me.